Hello and welcome back to the Father and Son Pastime podcast. We just finished up the AL face of the franchise. We paused to go look at who was a better offensive catcher, Ivan Rodriguez or Johnny Bench.
The great Johnny Bench.
And the great Ivan Rodriguez. He wins. Ivan Rodriguez is still, in my opinion, now we only looked at three factors here, so I'd love to get your opinions at home. Ivan had a much higher average and was a 7-time Silver Slugger. Bench had more home runs, significantly more home runs.
Yes.
But only 40 RBIs were the difference between the two, and we considered RBIs, home runs, and average to be the three markers of offensive success, and he won $20. So congratulations. We'll get to that. Obviously, I know when we get to our overall best dream teams, I think I know what catcher I'm taking. I think I know what catcher you're taking.
Yes.
But now we're talking about the NL face of the franchise. If you're somehow just joining us and you didn't watch our AL one, definitely tune that in because it's pretty funny. We have a good time. We go rapid fire, but we're choosing our number one person when we think of a certain team. So when we were talking about the Texas Rangers, he chose Adrian Beltre. I chose Ivan Rodriguez, and then we got into, obviously, a big debate about that.
A very profitable debate.
We talked, yes, of course. We talk, obviously, about the Mount Rushmore of each team, but we're really just focused on the best player, the face of the franchise, who is that team captain of that dream team that we have made in our past episodes. So now we're talking about the National League. Dad, rapid fire again. We're going to start with the East. Atlanta Braves.
Greg Maddux.
I went with Chipper Jones. Philadelphia Phillies.
I went with Steve Carlton.
I went with Mike Schmidt. New York Mets.
Tom Seaver.
Mike Piazza. Miami Marlins.
Josh Beckett.
Giancarlo Stanton. All right. Washington Nationals.
Ryan Zimmerman.
Well, I have Ryan Zimmerman too. All right. We ended on a match. Everyone's getting a little worried there. We matched a lot in the American League. I would say 10 out of 15 teams.
Yeah, especially in the Central and East.
Majority of teams we matched. Maddux Jones. I see that. I like Jones because it's a position player more than a pitcher.
You love him.
I love Chipper Jones.
Yeah, you do.
I love Chipper Jones.
Yeah. And then when we did the best third baseman of all time, he's there, but he's not the best of all time. But
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, but I do like Chipper myself. But I think when it comes, if you had a choice as a coach, which person would you take between Greg Maddux or Chipper Jones? That's an easy decision.
Always depends on the prime, but I think it depends who you need. Do you need a great pitcher? Do you need a great infielder? Third base, you went with pitching, just like you did with the Braves. I went with third baseman, just like I did. Mike Schmidt, and you went Steve Carlton. Carlton, because great pitcher, 100%. But I think Schmitty when I think of the Phillies. Or Von Hayes, but shout out to Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Been wanting to make that joke.
I bet if I was Von Hayes,
you would have a toy for me.
That's right. Who's Von Hayes? Great scene. If you haven't seen the Christmas special, make sure you do this holiday season because it's just
Always Sunny Christmas special. We don't have a Christmas special.
Right.
We're not that funny.
Well, we might. But yeah, do tune that in on Christmas Day. It will brighten your holiday season. Steve, the only one reason I did Steve Carlton, I think I've said this story before, the Phillies were really, really, really bad. And they won 50 games in a year. Steve Carlton, when he pitched, won 27 out of those 50 wins.
Yeah. Great longevity pitcher. No one pitches plus 300 innings anymore. Yeah. Carlton did. I still think, obviously, Bob Feller versus him. I know they didn't play at the same time, but Bob Feller's significantly better. Piazza, for me, obviously, went into the Hall of Fame as a Met, obviously. Has that post 9/11 moment that will forever be in the hearts of New Yorkers. Tom Seaver is a great pitcher. Rest in peace, Tom Seaver. Mm-hmm. But I think I have the age bias of Piazza there, and you saw Seaver, obviously.
Tom Seaver was the face of the franchise when the Mets became good. So the 69 Mets, when they finally got out of their funk, they were losing 120 games a year, by the way, when they came around the corner, became their first couple seasons. And then they drafted and they built the team. Tom Seaver was the star of that team and got the Mets into a legitimate baseball franchise. That's why.
Great debate so far.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you went with Beckett.
I love Beckett.
I love Beckett too, but he's not I guess World Series is where you think of there with 03 World Series.
Toughness.
But I think Stanton, just because of home run derbies before he became a Yankee, just home runs.
Yeah.
I also think toughness. He took a 98-mile baseball to the face and broke his jaw as a Marlin. So I don't know. I just think Stanton. I would have probably even said Yelich after that before I said Beckett.
I even thought Jose Fernandez.
He only played 2 years before he died.
I know, but I'm thinking
he didn't make our dream team. But yes,
but think about if he would have been a star.
Agreed. You would have actually, chose a different pitcher there instead of, 4 in a row at this point.
Yeah.
And then the Nationals, the only position player you chose on this, yes, you think of Mr. National, you think of someone that got drafted by them when they became a Nationals, no longer Expos. His whole career shifting from third to first, finally getting a World Series ring last year. Very well deserved. Of course, there's better players than Ryan Zimmerman on that team, Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg. But when you think of the Nationals, you should think of Ryan Zimmerman.
Cute story for you. 30 seconds. I went to Potomac to watch a minor league baseball game. Ryan Zimmerman was coming for a rehab game. He drove up in a Toyota Camry to go to the game. I instantly had respect for him. Here he is. Camry's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And he pulled up in a Camry.
Yeah.
And he walked up to the stadium. I like that.
Gotta like that.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Central, I'll let my dad choose the Cubs.
Well, there's only one. Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks.
Cincinnati Reds.
The Reds, Johnny Bench.
I agree. St. Louis Cardinals.
I got Stan Musial.
Ooh, I got Bob Gibson. We'll get to that because there's so many great Hall of Famers on that team that we can talk about. Hornsby deserves a mention there, too. Pittsburgh Pirates.
Pirates, Roberto Clemente.
Number 21. Milwaukee Brewers.
Robert Yount.
Central, we really do have a lot in common. So the only thing we didn't have in common there was St. Louis. Surprisingly, you went with a player and I went with a pitcher.
I had them equal.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard. Stan the Man, of course, offensively juggernaut of St. Louis history.
Yeah.
Bob Gibson, the opposite, pitching juggernaut. Those two never face each other. Obviously, they're always either on the same team or slightly different time periods. But what if they face someone? You think Bob could have struck out Stan? You think Stan could have hit Bob?
Stan would have had a little soft liner at the opposite field. Or he would have hit him.
Yeah.
One of the two. But Stan was a Ted Williams of the National League.
I agree.
And he was, always, 329, 340 hitter. And, when I wrote down, I had those equal. And I made a choice out of my gut. And just because I guess he was a position player, I think I gave him a little more. But Bob was, if he had a Game 7, Bob Gibson would be one of the two pitchers I would choose in a Game 7.
Agreed.
So just rest in peace, by the way.
Yeah, keeping that in mind. Love to hear the Cardinals' thoughts, and I'm sure you guys get asked that all the time. Who is your face of the franchise? And Stan or Bob, I'm sure, are got to be neck and neck. Moving on to the West, let's go San Diego Padres.
Tony Gwynn.
Easy choice. Colorado Rockies.
Nolan Arenado.
I said Larry Walker because he's the only Hall of Famer in Rockies history.
Okay.
San Francisco Giants.
Giants, Willie Mays.
Of course. Los Angeles Dodgers.
Don Drysdale.
I want Sandy Koufax. I'd rather have Koufax than Drysdale.
Well, he stayed with them as an announcer, so he's been with them for 40-plus years as either a player or a broadcaster. That's why I went that way.
Okay. Diamondbacks.
Ryan Johnson.
I agree. So a lot of similarities. So East we really struggled with there. Gwynn, Mays, Johnson, all in common. Arenado, I think great. I love Arenado. He's probably my favorite current player. However, he's made it known that he wants off the Colorado Rockies, and he's going to be trying to be traded this offseason. I think if you're that face of the franchise, you enjoy your town. And Larry Walker really enjoyed Colorado.
Yeah, you had fun there.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be this is for another podcast, but to predict the next stop for Nolan is going to be an interesting discussion because I think there's a couple teams that can afford him.
We'll talk about that in a few weeks, everybody. Tune in a few weeks.
Friday.
Well, yeah, this will be posted by the time everything gets posted.
Yeah.
But subscribe. Okay. Well, we had a lot in common there. And then Sandy Koufax versus Don Drysdale. I think that's just a pick. Who you're starting? Obviously, Kershaw's in that debate too.
Yeah.
Koufax thinks Kershaw is better than him.
Interesting. Sandy retired at 30.
I know.
And
because he got bored.
His elbow.
Well, no, he was also bored. He also said So did Drysdale.
Yeah. Drysdale, I think, went to about 35.
It's still young.
Yeah, I agree
for a pitcher.
But him and Bob Gibson physically are about the same size. Yeah. Both big men.
Shout out to Don Drysdale, who was a show on the Brady Bunch. He was a one-episode guest.
Well, there you go. That makes sense. Face of the franchise.
Yeah.
But when you needed a game, think about Dodgers Cardinals games. Nobody scored any runs.
I don't know how you did. Again, Koufax versus Gibson is just a setup that I'm like, who wins? I don't know.
They did have playoff.
Or Drysdale versus Gibson.
I remember the box scores when I was a little kid, and that's when newspapers had all that information about every game. Literally, in the game was less than 4 hits between both teams for the whole game, and they were soft liners. Nobody got a hard hit. Nobody got a home run. I'll tell you that. If that got beamed.
Yeah, a different game.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for the face of the franchise. Let us know your thoughts about the National League below. So many Hall of Famers. The only two that weren't on the Hall of Fame for me is Stanton, which is maybe a time of win. Ryan Zimmerman, I don't think will be in the Hall of Fame, but deserves to be on the Nationals list. So tune in. Our next episode will be choosing. We're going to go toe to toe on this one. Our dream team of all Major League Baseball players. My 25-man roster versus his 25-man roster. We're going to let the viewers decide who chose the better players, and we can't have any duplicates. We can't both choose Nolan Arenado as a third baseman, for example. It's going to be fun. Anything?
No, have a great day.
Thanks.